In the Persian dawn, the air trembles with prophecy. The 6th century BCE is a tapestry of war and intrigue across the ancient Middle East. Amid this turmoil rises one man with a vision that will unite nations and redefine power. Cyrus the Great, born a prince of Persia, destined to become the world's first emperor and the voice of freedom. He will be remembered as both conqueror and liberator, a king who forged an empire with the sword, yet won hearts with mercy. From humble youth to immortal legend, his life is a journey of questions. Can authority serve justice? This is the story of Cyrus the Great. Cyrus was born to royal blood, a prince of Anshan in Persia, but it was his ambition and vision that made him great. He grew up amid palace intrigue, trained as a warrior and diplomat. When he became king of Anshan, Cyrus refused to remain a vassal to the mighty Medes. With courage and cunning, he united the Persian tribes and revolted against the Median king Astyages, a man claimed to be Cyrus's grandfather in legend. In 550 BCE, the gates of Ecbatana, the proud Median capital, fell to his forces. The young king marched through the palace halls of Ecbatana as conqueror, but instead of terror, he showed mercy. He learned that wisdom on the throne was as important as bravery on the battlefield. He spared the lives of former foes and even married Astyages' daughter, forging an alliance that symbolized the union of two peoples. With the Median Empire dissolved, Persia rose from the ashes. A new superpower was born. In that moment, Cyrus stood at the dawn of a vast realm. The world took notice. Persia was on the rise, and its king had proven himself a leader of rare ambition and principle. In 539 BCE, Cyrus set his sights on Babylon, the jewel of the ancient world. The city of hanging gardens and soaring walls seemed impregnable. Still, Cyrus had a plan. He secretly diverted the Euphrates River, causing its waters to fall and reveal a hidden path beneath Babylon's walls. As dawn broke, Cyrus's soldiers slipped into the city through the dry riverbed. By morning, Babylon had fallen to him, yet the conquest was strangely gentle. There was no sack. Instead, Cyrus declared himself king of Babylon and the liberator of its people. He returned the idols to their temples and reopened ancient shrines. He even decreed that the Jewish exiles in Babylon could return home to rebuild their temple in Jerusalem. His proclamations inscribed on clay spoke of restoration and freedom. People of all faiths could worship as they chose and live without fear. Cyrus's conquest of Babylon thus signaled the birth of a world empire. The once proud city now hailed him as a liberator, for he declared himself chosen by Marduk, the Babylonian god, to restore justice. In this triumph, Cyrus proved that true power did not require brutality. He won by inspiring hope, not hate. Cyrus knew that winning kingdoms was one thing, keeping them was another. He conquered with fire and sword, but he ruled by respect and order. In every land he took, local rulers and priests were allowed to remain in place, now under Persian allegiance. This simple act of continuity kept roads open and markets thriving, as long as tribute flowed to Pasargadae and Susa. The Persians called their governors satraps, powerful men who collected taxes and kept peace in their provinces. Cyrus personally chose these satraps for loyalty and ability. He even retained defeated enemy nobles if they pledged fealty. For example, King Croesus of Lydia reportedly became a trusted advisor in Cyrus's court after his conquest. To hold such a sprawling empire together, Cyrus built remarkable infrastructure. He ordered the construction of roads and bridges across mountains and deserts. The Royal Road, stretching some 1,600 miles, connected the Persian heartland to the fringes of the empire, enabling couriers to carry messages in days instead of months. Persian messengers raced along this highway, changing horses at way stations so that no winter storm or distant mountain pass could stop the king's word from reaching the provinces. He also standardized weights, measures, and currency across his empire. Now a trader in Babylon and one in Ionia used the same scales and coins, a single commercial language that bound the empire's peoples. Above all, Cyrus blended unity with autonomy. A temple priest in Babylon and a chieftain in Persia each answered to the king, yet largely kept their own customs. This ingenious balance prevented rebellion and bound the empire together. In this way, Cyrus turned vast lands into a single community under one king. Even as his armies marched, Cyrus governed not through fear but through respect. He believed that loyalty was won with kindness, not cruelty. It was a radical idea for his time, a mighty conqueror who preserved the faiths of those he defeated. When Cyrus captured Babylon, he did not demolish its temples or punish its people. Instead, he ordered the great gods of the city to be honored once more and their rituals restored. He proclaimed that every group under his rule could worship freely. For the Jewish exiles in Babylon, this meant the promise of returning to their homeland to rebuild their temple in Jerusalem. For millennia, a clay cylinder buried in the walls of Babylon spoke of these acts. Inscribed upon it were the words of a king who claimed to be worthy of the gods for liberating exiles and restoring temples. Today, scholars see it as an ancient charter of human rights, a declaration that the conquered need not be oppressed. Cyrus treated subjugated peoples as partners, not slaves. Each culture, Persian, Median, Babylonian, Jewish, kept its identity under the umbrella of the great king. He often declared that a king's duty was to serve the well-being of his people rather than crush them. In a world where conquerors often torched cities and deported populations, Cyrus stood apart. His compassion and respect for diversity became the cornerstone of his legacy. By upholding local traditions and sacred rites, he stilled rebellions and built trust across his realm. Cyrus was not only a visionary ruler, he was a master of the battlefield. From the early clashes of his rise, he proved fearless. When the great armies of Asia gathered to stop him, Cyrus met them with precision and courage. He divided his forces when needed, feigned retreats to lure the enemy, and exploited every advantage of terrain. At Sardis, he faced King Croesus' famed army of chariots and elephants, yet through clever tactics, Cyrus emerged victorious. Against Babylon, he again showed genius. He turned the Euphrates into a weapon by surprising his foe from below. Cyrus treated each battle like a chess game, anticipating every move. He fought alongside his soldiers in person, inspiring fierce loyalty. In one legendary episode, he donned the armor of a common soldier to test his army's courage. His personal example of valor and restraint set him apart. By the end of his conquests, Cyrus's empire stretched from the Aegean Sea to the Indus River. Even in the farthest lands, his name commanded respect. Friend and foe alike spoke it with awe. Though he would eventually fall in a distant battle, Cyrus's record remained extraordinary. He never waged war without strategy, and often won with minimal bloodshed by undermining the enemy's will to fight. His armies learned a new style of warfare, swift, disciplined, and daring. Persian cavalry and archers became legendary for their speed and skill. Even later, Greek generals would acknowledge the Persians' strength and innovation. Cyrus the Great was not only a military genius, but also a philosopher king in his own right. He regarded kingship as a sacred trust rather than a license to oppress. In his mind, justice and mercy were not weaknesses, but the true marks of greatness. One of Cyrus's guiding precepts was, "No man should be punished for a crime he did not commit." It is said that even in victory, he would ask himself, "Have I shown wisdom and honor?" He welcomed wise counsel, famously valuing diversity in advice. He believed a king should listen to many voices, but ultimately unite them in one just decision. He insisted that a ruler must be the guardian of his people's happiness. Tradition holds that he taught his son that a throne is a divine trust to be used for the common good. In everyday life, Cyrus remained remarkably humble. He would fast before battles and walk among his people, seeking to understand their needs. He reminded his courtiers that a king's true wealth was measured by the welfare of his subjects, not treasure. He built a tomb at Pasargadae that embodied his values. According to legend, its inscription read, "I am Cyrus, King of Kings. Do not begrudge me this bit of earth that covers my bones." These words remind us that even under the mightiest king lay a man of integrity and humility. Cyrus's philosophy was revolutionary for its time. It wove together loyalty and liberty, showing that a ruler could be both mighty and merciful. Cyrus's empire lasted only a century in his family's hands, but his legacy has endured for millennia. His methods became a model for rulers who followed. Alexander the Great visited Cyrus's tomb in admiration, and even the founders of the United States looked to Cyrus as a pioneer of freedom. Today, a replica of the Cyrus cylinder stands at the United Nations, a symbol that rights and tolerance have ancient roots. His life reminds us that power and conscience can go hand in hand. In our time of division, Cyrus's example is a beacon. Greatness comes with mercy. True strength lies in justice. From the scholars of Oxford to the streets of modern Tehran, people speak of him as a father of nations and a champion of human dignity. As the sun sets on ancient Persia and the dust settles on his tomb, the question lingers: what will we build from his legacy? Cyrus the Great demanded that his world live in peace and faith. May we honor that vision, ensuring that in the ruins of empires, only cruelty is lost and compassion endures.